Hi, my name is Wyatt Bonilla, and today I'll be looking at legume-based intercropping systems that help to promote beneficial rhizobacteria and crop yield under stressful conditions. So, in our abstract, intercropping is a method of farming which optimizes the efficiency of limited resources and crop yield. Legumes are a crop which can be used to intercrop due to its beneficial eco-agricultural benefits. This is because of the nitrogen-fixing rhizobacteria and the little nodes. Positive contributions to soil fertility and nutrient cycling have been seen in maize intercropping in eastern and southern Africa due to limited inputs available and the drive to maximize food production. This is mostly because of the scarce food that is available in these developing countries. Through the integration of grain legumes and maize production, rhizobacteria is able to form beneficial symbiotic relationships that improve soil conditions and the assimilation of valuable nutrients. Groundnut and common bean were shown to increase the soil stability in low input farming scenarios that undergo high stress conditions, proving to improve the resilience of cereal and maize crops that food scarce populations depend on in order to avoid critical food security. So, the main idea here is that the idea that rhizobacteria being present in the intercropping crops that are chosen in between maize will help to alleviate the stresses that come along with nutrient deficient soil and also limited inputs such as like herbicides or pesticides and um, fertilizers that have to be used in order to reach the same level of yields that would be needed in order to remedy the food insecurity that's present. Food scarce populations usually always come with compounding factors to build such conditions. Limited inputs coupled with low income areas will create the need for cost effective and efficient solutions that could also have ecological sensitivity in mind when conditions are less than ideal, and resilience must be taken into account. Intercropping helps to alleviate the issues that come with low input scenarios, as the shortcomings of limited fertilizers and maintenance of soil conditions are all benefits that would come from using intercropping systems, with grain legumes such as groundnut and common bean, those two being like the most common that are looked at in this review of intercropping systems that use beneficial bacteria in order to fix nitrogen in nutrient deficient soils. Successful symbiotic relationships between nutrient dense crops such as maize and cereals help to create more successful areas that are more deeply affected. Taking a look at the nitrification benefits and the improved yield in these studies will illustrate this. So, showing that rhizobacteria can improve the available nitrogen that is available to these really nutrient dense crops that are really, really common and grown in food scarce populations or food scarce communities or environments by having these um, legumes that are used during intercropping systems. We can help to see some of the alleviation from food insecurity because we see increased yield here. A report done on the use of grain legumes in southern and eastern Africa was examined in order to determine the rhizobacteria that is present in groundnut and common bean. This bacteria is also responsible for the nitrogen fixing benefits that plants use in order to process nitrogen in soil that the plant can't get without the help of symbiotic bacteria through nitrification and nitrogen fixation. When abiotic stressors such as nutrient deficient soil becomes unable to remedy through inputs, the ecological benefits that legumes provide through nitrogen fixation, as per the rhizobacteria that, as I previously mentioned, is used in the intercropping systems, the rhizobacteria being present on the legumes, little nodules that help to fix the nitrogen into the soil and into the plant, help to alleviate this condition at little cost and with efficiency. Like we had mentioned, like when there's a decreased amount of inputs that are available and funds essentially that are available, using something that is efficient and also takes into account the ecological benefits, using this will help to kind of meet these needs and also have less impact on the local communities in terms of fertilized leaching or fertilizer burn. Wide adoption of these methods must be met in order to see true benefits. However, we saw in the review that a 21% decrease in the use of phosphate fertilizer in certain communities that did utilize intercropping with the legumes that we had mentioned helped to reduce runoff and the overall health of the local community. The review also noted that the nutritional values of the successful crops were higher as opposed to ones that didn't use it at all. While discussing the intercropping methods on papers, it illustrates a lot of benefits, such as like the economic savings by reducing the amount of inputs that we need in an already input scarce situation. Labor is reduced as there's no need to apply herbs in order to apply fertilizers. And then there's the ecological benefit because you're using something that is an intercrop. You don't have to worry about fertilizers being overused and making the soil conditions very, very non-optimal. However, the issue with getting people to actually use intercropping methods is actually teaching them about it when there's already a community that is resource scarce, whether that is like money or education that's available. Farmers will tend to kind of stick to what they know as opposed to wanting to learn a method that is maybe not as fast, but will get them a higher yield and an overall healthier field. Increasing education would be the appropriate response to this challenge. However, gaining the resources for this would have to be like a philanthropic endeavor and or just like proliferating the ideas much more further, pushing them a lot more without the commercial incentive, such as like trying to sell your fertilizer as opposed to trying to get people to not buy fertilizers as much and instead teach them methods that will be a long-term benefit to them. In conclusion, the use of nitrogen-fixing legumes in an intercropping system, we can expect a more successful yield when given the constraint of low available inputs in a community. In addition to improved soil nutrition, like we had mentioned, the nitrogen fixation and the re-toiling. I don't know if I'd mentioned this previously, but once the intercrops are done, you will see like you can have them like re-dug into the soil and basically become compost. Nutrient deficiency caused by abiotic stressors, such as like just nutrient deficient soils, over-tilled soils. Those will also be alleviated by the addition of the nutrient-fixing intercropping plants. Food insecure communities will find the benefits from utilizing these systems, as the benefits will be long-term and also like help to maintain and stabilize soil conditions over a long period of time. Thank you.